guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we will take a look at some new JustNoHOA content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first one is titled, Homeowner Association Towed My Car Illegally and Forged Documents. Strap in and get ready because this is going to be a crazy story. Now, my neighborhood's homeowner association is optional, and since I didn't want to bother with all of the problems I've heard about, I just didn't join it. It was my first time owning a home though, so I wasn't exactly sure at first what kind of power the homeowner association president had. I could tell right away when I told her I had no interest in joining that she didn't like me at all. That was fine by me though, because she lived a couple blocks away and I rarely needed to see her. There is no doubt in my mind the things that started to happen after the first few months of living there were directly because of her. I started to receive fines in my mail from the homeowner association talking about different violations. They were citing bylaws and other things that I never heard of and didn't fully understand. They were telling me that my trash cans were too far out into the street and that I wasn't supposed to mow my lawn on a Sunday morning. Which I do because that's my day off from work and the only time I really had to do it. So even though I wasn't part of the homeowner association, I thought those rules still might have applied to me because I was a homeowner and paid them. They listed that their money was going to be used for reparations, assessments, and repairs. I had no idea how those small things would need any of those, and I never saw anything actually being done of it. I now know that the best thing I could have done was nip the whole situation in the bud and told her I wasn't going to stand for this. The fines weren't for a lot though, and I decided that the cost for them was a fair exchange for me not having to get into a fight. That mentally changed really quickly a week later when I walked out of my house to seeing my car being towed. Now I think it's very important to mention that I park my car every night in my own driveway. There is no reason or explanation for having me towed for what I later found out was labeled as illegal parking. Now the gloves were coming off and this woman was going to get a piece of my mind. I marched over to her house and started banging on her front door. Homeowner Association President, how can I help you? She had a smug look on her face and knew exactly why I was there. Me. My car is being towed from my own driveway. Homeowner Association President. Well, it was sticking out into the street and that violated the bylaws, so I called the tow company that the homeowner association signs with to tow it. Me. My car wasn't in the street though. It was fully in my driveway, and you called to have it towed. Homeowner Association President. If you keep taking that tone with me, I will report you for harassment and you will get more than a fine and a tow. I walked away before I said or did something I would regret and went back to my house to plan. I did a ton of research into our specific homeowner association and found that not only did nothing about cars sticking out of driveways exist, but that she wasn't allowed to fine me for any of those things since I wasn't part of the homeowner association to begin with. So, I decided to get a small revenge and start doing anything I wanted, and some things I didn't, that directly went against her bylaws. The fines in the mail stacked up and I kept them as a personal trophy collection. The one thing I couldn't ignore was the papers I was handed by a carrier that said I was being taken to court by the homeowner association president. That's right, she was suing me. Luckily my brother was a lawyer and was laughing at how little of a case this woman had. I could tell you exactly what our plan was going in, but I think it's much better seeing how it all played out. We got to the courtroom, and she had the same smug grin on her face. This time though I had one of my own to give back to her. We settled in and waiting for her to make her case. Homeowner Association President. As you can see by these photos and copies of documents sent to Mr. Me. He has violated multiple statutes and refused to pay any of his fines. Now I know that I could sue for much more, but all I want is for him to pay his fines and my lawyers free. Judge. Mr. Me. Do you deny being given fines for any of these violations? Me smiling. No, Your Honor, I did every single one of those. The woman was beaming, and the judge looked confused. Judge. Then can you tell me why you are refusing to pay the fines that you received from the homeowner association? I assume you have a reason considering you are countersuing. I was looking right at the judge, but my brother told me her face was priceless. Me. Yes, Your Honor, I'm not paying them because I'm not part of the neighborhood homeowner association. Homeowner Association President. I have his signed documents right here. She hands them to the judge and a copy to us, and it takes everything I can to stifle my laughter. Judge. You are claiming you aren't part of the homeowner association, and yet you signed papers agreeing to it. My brother. Your Honor, those are clearly forgeries of my client's signature. We can get you proof for his actual signature if you wish, but I doubt that on an official document he would misspell his own name. The judge was looking at the woman and you could tell that he was angry. Her smile wavered as she knew that she lost the only thing she had to try and get me to pay these fines. Judge. Well, if he isn't part of the homeowner association, then you cannot fine him and sue him for this money. He didn't agree to these terms, and I am going to follow up on that potential forgery, which is a crime. For now, though, we will go into the defendant's counterclaim. He is suing for past fines paid, lawyer's fees, and an illegal vehicle towing. Homeowner association president. Wait. He can't sue me for those things. I was following the rules. Judge. Rules that didn't apply to him at the time. I can't get you the money back for past fines paid, but I will grant you lawyer fees. Now please tell me about this illegal towing. I tell him the story and homeowner association is eager to jump in again. Homeowner association president. It was sticking all the way into the street, and it was far too dangerous to leave it there. I had to have it towed or it would have caused an accident. Judge. Mr. Me. Do you have any proof that your car was fully in your driveway and not in the middle of the road? Me. Actually, Your Honor, I do. This time I turn and see just how shocked the homeowner association president's face is. I had installed security cameras when I moved in, showed the judge the footage that I had concealed this whole time, showing how my car was neatly in my driveway when it was towed. Not only did the judge find in my favor, but was told that if she didn't leave me alone he was going to grant a restraining order against her. So, she had no choice but to just sit quietly as I handled my house however I wanted to. They couldn't prove that it was her that forged my name, so she didn't get in trouble for that, but destroying her in court was oh so satisfying. If only she stopped while she was ahead, she might have gotten away with it. Trying to bully me into the homeowner association though only led to her being destroyed in court. I hear they're holding an election for a new homeowner association president later this year, and I have a sneaking suspicion that she won't get elected again. The next one is titled, ExMalicious Compliance. This happened several years ago when my ex and I were going through a heated divorce custody battle. While we were married, we had a couple of conversations about how rich people hide their assets to avoid paying taxes. I've never had enough assets to do this, but she somehow got the idea that I was and told her attorney that I was laundering money and hiding income. It was more likely the heat of the moment, as divorce custody battles often come down to. I couldn't even afford my own attorney, so I represented myself. Her lawyer wasn't a total ass, but he clearly was out to get me, and he talked down to me like I didn't deserve to breathe the same air. One day, I get a letter in the mail from him requesting an updated income declarations form and 3 years of financials. It had a long ass list of things to include. I own a communications tech company that was in super startup phase back then. Money was already tight. I was trying to get this business off the ground with no financing. I was finishing my MBA with scholarships and loans, so paying for copies and postage or driving this 30 miles to his office meant eating peanut butter and saltines for a week. So I called him to explain my situation. He all but called me a liar and didn't believe I couldn't afford it. I was put off by that, and I said this was taking time away from business I needed to handle. To which he replied, and I'll never forget this, "Well, according to your income declarations, you're not that busy. What do you do all day?" He then said if he didn't get these documents, he would consider my previous filings as fraudulent, tell the judge, contact the DA, and also alert the state tax agency and IRS. Probably an empty threat, but I'm no lawyer. eFax is one of the services my company provides, and at this time it was relatively unknown. So I asked him if he has a fax machine. He said he had a fax scanner copier device, then said what law office doesn't have a fax machine? And I suddenly got an idea. Okay, I said to him, I'll put together and fax whatever I can. Okay, motherducker. You want 3 years of financials? You got it. I scanned to PDF every receipt I could find. McDonald's receipt from 5 years ago? Duck it. Won't hurt to include it. CVS receipt? It's 3 miles long, perfect. They get the $1 off toothpaste coupons too. I downloaded every bank statement, credit card statement, purchase orders from vendors, and every invoice I sent to clients. I printed to PDF the entire 3-year accounting journal, monthly, quarterly, annual balance sheets, cash flow statements, P&Ls. Not only did I PDF 3 years of tax filings, but every single letter I received from the IRS and state tax agency, including the inserts advising me of my rights. It took a while, but I was a few days ahead of the deadline. I made a cover page black background with white lettering. Wherever I could, I included separator pages in all caps in the biggest, boldest font that would fit on the page in landscape. 20XX receipts, 20XX taxes, etc. I merged everything into a single 150-plus page compressed PDF and sent the document using my eFax system. Every hour or so, I received a status email saying the fax failed. Huh, that's weird. Well, they're getting this document. So I changed the system configuration to unlimited retries after failures to keep redialing until it went through. Weird, I was still getting status email failures. I'll delete the failure emails and keep the success one after it eventually goes through, I thought. Problem solved. 2 days later, a lady from his office called and asked me to stop sending the fax. Their fax scanner printer copier had been printing non-stop. It kept getting paper jams, kept running out of ink, and they had to keep shutting it off and back on to print. I explained that her boss told me to send this by the deadline or else he would call the DAW and IRS. Since I didn't want a call from the DAW or the IRS, I would keep sending until I get a success confirmation. I suggested they just not print until my fax completes, but she didn't like that. She asked me to email the documents, and I told a little white lie that my email wouldn't allow an attachment that big. Unless her boss in writing agreed to cancel the request or agree to reimburse me for my costs to print and ship, I said I would continue to fax until they confirm they have received every page. She put me on hold, and the attorney gets on the line. He said forget sending the financials. I said that I would need this in writing, so I will keep sending the fax until he sent that to me. He asked me to stop faxing and he would send it in writing, and I said send it in writing first and then I'll stop. Long moment of silence. Click. About 20 minutes later, I received an email from his assistant with an attached, signed letter in PDF that I no longer needed to provide financials. The letter then threatened to pursue sanctions in court or sue me for interfering with their business. Every time I saw him after that, the lawyer never brought up sanctions, lawsuits, criminal referrals, or financials again. The next one is titled, Calling Her Fake Quitting Bluff. This happened years ago but still makes me smile. I started working in a corporate office in a secretarial position for my first job after college. There were 2 older ladies who were also secretaries working in the office. One of them was just fine, but I spent most of my time sitting beside and working with Agnes. Agnes was quickly approaching retirement age but wasn't going anywhere without a big push. This was in the days where we just started getting computers and she was absolutely hopeless. She'd pull stuff like I can't answer the phone, I'm on the computer. Multitasking was not in this woman's repertoire. She was super fussy and annoying. If I ever came back from lunch 5 minutes late, she would exclaim loudly, "OMG, there you are. I was wondering what had happened to you," making sure the whole office knew I was late. Meanwhile, she was usually late coming in the morning, and often left early for various appointments. If I made a typo in a document, she would make sure the rest of the staff knew about it, loudly. She tended to pout when things didn't go her way, and she would quit her job when someone pissed her off, and then my boss's boss would talk her into staying. I'd heard about this tactic of hers, and one day, our boss did something that annoyed her and she quit again. My boss's boss was away that day, so I had my chance. I quickly advertised and planned a big retirement party for her. It was a done deal by the end of the day. People were dropping by and congratulating her and everyone looked forward to the party. At that point, I guess she figured it was too late to pull her usual shenanigans and she actually retired. I told my boss to not bother replacing her because it was damn easy to cover the little work she actually accomplished every day. The next one is titled, The $250,000 Pen. One of my best friends, Alex, was a staffer in a state legislative office. His boss was head of a key Senate budget committee, so there were always people coming to solicit her support for a particular project or grant or whatever. Someone representing an arts program that was looking for a $250,000 grant is waiting. I'll call her Lobby Ann. She comes up to the reception desk and asks for a pen. The senator keeps giveaway pens with her name on them in stock, reasonably nice ones, so Alex reaches over to the can where the pens are. Lobby Ann says something along the lines of, "Well then the senator will know that I showed up without a pen." "So what?" She looks across the desk. Alex has some work spread out with his own favorite pen, an expensive one with lapis inlay, and engraved with his name and term of office of a campus organization. Lobby Ann reaches over, snatches it up and drops it in her purse. Alex, who is a very polite person, is completely gobsmacked and then tells Lobby Ann that's his personal pen and not up for grabs. Lobby Ann gives him a contemptuous look and refuses, very rudely. One of the sad funny things about this story is that she uses a slur that Alex was not sure was a reference to his heritage Asian or his perceived sexuality, oddly enough given the nature of the stolen object. Either slur ended with ink. Alex, confused and deeply upset, sits back down while Lobby Ann flounces back to the waiting area. In a few minutes the senator comes out to get Lobby Ann. As they're walking past Alex's desk, he stands up and says in a very clear voice, "I'm going to need my pen back." Lobby Ann stops in her tracks, as does the senator, and Alex says, calmly, "I may be a slur or a slur, whatever you want to call me, but that pen is precious to me. You stole it right off this desk and I want it back." The senator kind of gasps and says, "She stole your lapis pen? She called you a slur?" And then she turns to Lobby Ann, who is frantically fishing around in her purse and stammering something about just borrowing it, and says, "Give it back." Once the pen is back in Alex's hands, the senator says to Alex, "Come on back. I need you," and turns and walks back into her office, leaving Lobby Ann standing there as the senator shuts the inner office door in her face. Then the senator picks up her purse, smiles a big bright smile and says, "Want Starbucks?" So she and Alex go out the side door and across the street. They could see the front door of the office from the Starbucks. It apparently took Lobby Ann about 5 minutes to realize how bad she'd ducked up, and that she was not going to see the senator that day or any day, and that the project she was going to ask for money toward was probably doomed as well. She'd lined up strong support in the House, so it might have made it through, though it was not the kind of project the senator favored. When she came slinking out, she almost certainly saw Alex and the senator sitting there drinking their drinks. Alex always ends this story with, "That was the best coffee I've ever had."